what's up, y'all? So, wheel arrived. Really excited. Ordered it on July 28th. It is today, August 3rd, and I got it in a week or less. They said to expect 2 weeks, and as you can see, it's here. I will link and show the video of me unboxing it somewhere on either side here. But, you know, I did a whole bunch of talking and yeah, didn't really like that take, but I did want to show you the unboxing because, you know, I think the box that it comes in is really cool. And I think well-packaged design definitely goes a long way. Like it is really cool. And I know one of my favorite companies, which I'll be reviewing their wheels soon, they have some really cool packaging coming for people in the near future. So it's nice to see the evolution of how sim racing is going. And the GSI X-29 is no slouch in that category. So what we're seeing here is a $650 US dollars, 290 millimeter GT style wheel. Many will call it a butterfly style, which I've kind of adopted, but it's a GT style wheel with no screen. GSI, as we know, their first wheel was the Formula Pro Elite. They now make the GT Max, the Hyper P1, and the X-29. This is their kind of entry-level wheel, and I have to say, it is really pretty and it's really nice. It is no slouch from everything I can tell by first impressions. I still haven't gotten it up on the rig just yet, but I have been fiddling around trying to get the QR attached. I did buy some wheel hubs, which I'm pretty sure I show in the video or at some point, but I did buy some 50 millimeter wheel hubs from eBay. They were like 20 bucks a piece. I'll show them in the video when we start racing. But I didn't want to attach it because for me, it was going to make it 50 millimeters closer to me, which all of my other wheels I'd have to adapt. So I definitely didn't want to do that. What I did was I attached a Moza QR to it because they're literally like the cheapest wheel side mounts you can get. At the end of the day, it was pretty interesting. I was looking for QRs and like Moza just makes the cheapest. There's another one I found on eBay, but literally it's like maybe $4 or $5 difference. They're just different colors, which I'll check those out and let you know what I think. But I was able to get the wheel and I'll show you what I ended up doing. I went ahead and took off the housing, which took a while. First and foremost, it is a pretty wheel. The grips feel absolutely amazing, but I took off the front. I had to take off the encoders here, take off the 2 funky switches, unscrew the 6 screws on 3 on either side, take that off, unscrew the PCB board to then get the screws to mount my QR. And again, I like the NRG style QR. I no longer have a Moza wheelbase, but again, just really cheap to grab. So just stuck with it because I have all the other stuff, might as well. I can tell you the wheel in hand feels absolutely amazing. I absolutely love it. It is something I would recommend to everybody. The price, $650. And again, it is, and let me look up here because, you know, I didn't memorize all the details. So I'll just give you a quick glance at a view. So it's 290 millimeters from end to end, which is kind of the sweet spot. Anything more than 300 millimeters, you're kind of asking for trouble. I think anything between 280 and 300 is sweet. I like 290, like 300, just depends on what I'm driving, to be honest. It's got, again, I'm gonna put this back on the mount that my guy Matt at Simulation R Us made for me. If you want one, let me know. I'll get you one. If you got NRG, Moza, or SimMagic type QR, I do have about 5 of them left. So if you want one, let me know. I'll send it to you free of charge. So with that being said, I do love the way the button layout is. So you've got 2 essentially funky switches here that are 7-way. So, you know, you got your up, down, left, right, rotate left and right, and push button, which is absolutely great. Very versatile, black boxes, things like that. It doesn't have any thumb encoders, but I'll be honest, with the one I'm going to use it for, I don't need any. That's why I didn't get the clutches. I have an F1 wheel already in the Simtec, the Bavarian Simtec Omega Red that I call it, and I'm getting the Pro here soon. So it makes no sense to have two wheels that have clutches. The cool thing is I can always add them later. So I don't have to get them now, but I can add them later. It's got your LED backlit push buttons, which are just great. Again, backlit buttons, I've been wanting some ever since I had my my Cube Controls F Pro. And I have to say the grips on this feel significantly better, and I'm glad I got this purchase. Again, it's, you know, about 1.25 kilograms in total weight, between 1.13 and 1.25. And obviously, when you add the clutches on it, and depending on what you get, the weight can be in between that range. And again, it's got that 70 millimeter bolt pattern on the back. You can get their AH50 spacer, or they have a few others if you wanted to mount a different QR. Because again, how this mounts in my QR system, I had to take off everything to get it on. With that being said, the grips are absolutely amazing. They are injection molded, and I believe they're 50A, so they're quite soft and they're quite good. They're kind of molded to your finger and how you put your hands on the wheel. I can tell you this, let me pop this off the QR. Again, I love that. I can tell you the shifters are right where I need them to be. You know, they're nice and short, as you can see here. Like I said, the button clicks feel absolutely amazing. I'm excited to see how it's going to feel once I get this mounted onto the rig and connected. It comes with your standard USB cable. Not gonna really spend much time on it because it does what it needs to do. USB to wheel, seems to be good quality. Once you screw it in, you're good to go. I never take mine out. I just wrap it around the back nice and loose so I don't stretch it out too much, and just put it on my wheel stand. But again, it does absolutely what it needs to do and gets the job done for what I'm looking for. The middle encoders here have really good detents to it, so you're definitely going to know when you set it, when you move it. If you have gloves on, I can't see you not understanding what you've moved it to, whether you moved it 1 or 2 or 3. For me, you know, you're really going to be using it for, you know, your ABS, your traction control, and maybe if you're running a formula car, you know, your DRS modes. But again, just depends on what you're running, because you can map anything to it, obviously. It does have laser etching on it, but these are not stickers. This is laser etched, which is really cool, but it's already predefined for you, so you're not changing it out if you get that $650. I don't think that you can actually choose if you customize it to change the etching, but that's something I'd have to check, because I'll be honest, I didn't look. I really wanted this one, and I was like, cool, that's what I want. It's 650 bucks. I can add the clutch paddles later. I don't need it right now, but eventually I know I will add it. It's a great price for a great wheel, and it has everything that I'm going to need. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this downstairs and get it on the rig, get it all lit up, and let's take a look at how it actually looks when you're racing with it. All right, guys, so we got the X-29 mounted. It is a pretty wheel. Grips feel great. Again, all my buttons are within reach. I've got my black box here. This way I can get through it. And what I've done is I've mapped it so that, let's say for instance, I wanted to change the tires. I would go to either one of these. I want to change the PSI, get to the one I want, and then make the incremental change, and then push if I want to select something. So again, I can feel everything through the wheel. Yeah, I'm thoroughly impressed. I mean, again, I used the Formula Pro Elite. For that price point, I was always like, man, I wish it had like thumb encoders, and then the Formula Pro becomes the predecessor to the Hyper P1. They finally make that entry-level wheel that most of us all wanted to get us into the GSI market. Yeah, again, feels great. I do want to show you guys one thing. So on the QR, the one thing that is very, very, very snug, not sure if we can see that is clear, but the gap between the two is minimal. It actually does rub a little on the QR. So, you know, this connector is great, but I might actually look for something third party that's a little thinner. But then again, I'm not sure if I can get any thinner than this. So, because of the QR choice and the fact that I mounted it directly to the wheel, I may have to eventually upgrade and just use the spacer that I purchased. But for right now, I don't have to worry about it. I've got the clearance. It doesn't rub once the connector and the QR is extended out and connected to the wheelbase. It's just when I pull it in, it's a little rubbing. So I'm definitely going to probably put the mount on and just make some adjustments to my rig. Which the cool thing is, now that I think about it, I can slide back my wheelbase this way because of the way I mounted it. So I do have that option. But let's get on track. And again, this is all about the wheel. So you'll see on the video, it's just me highlighting the wheel. Obviously, the cool thing about having LEDs is you get to do some cool animations. I'm just using the ones that they provided for now until I am able to play around with it. But let's get out here and just do some driving so I can really just tell you what I feel through the wheel. Let you guys know I'll be using the Vulcan Rev 3, which has become my daily driver in this car. Yeah, that's a great wheel, and like I said, I definitely would recommend it to anybody. But again, GSI knocked it out the park with this. I mean, it's an entry-level wheel. The grips feel great. They're not too bulky. They're not too thick. And the shifters feel really nice. Let's click to it. Now, they are loud. I can hear them through my headphones. Now, I don't have the volume blasting. So maybe that is also assisting the fact that I can hear. But this is just absolutely amazing. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm really happy with the wheel purchases I've made of late. I definitely think thumb encoders would be great right here, or even right here, you know? I mean, just right here would be cool. But like, the more I think about it, like if you're the kind of person who switches and changes and is alternating things on the fly, then that's absolutely cool, probably very useful. For me, I'm never doing that. Once I set it, I kind of set it and forget it. And to be honest, I'm using Apex Racing setups or VRS, and once I pick it, I leave it there. I know that, you know, as tires wear in, you can change the brake bias. As you have more warmth in the tires, you can change the grip level. But with that being said, like, I'm not missing anything. The more I drive this car with this wheel, the more in love I feel. It's great. And I tend to push down here when I drive, so I always need a lot of support right here. And I'm happy to say that this is probably my favorite part. It's not even that I squeeze hard anymore, but the problems I've had with my wheel rims is right there. As I turn, instead of squeezing my hand on the sides and turning, I tend to use my thumb and push down on it. So the one thing I've noticed so far in running this, it's because the grips are nice and soft, and they've got that thumb padding right here, I am able to get some relief. Flashing lights, LED, again, come on. Like, yeah. You know, there's so many awesome wheels out there, and I think LED backlit buttons are just the way to go. I mean, it just adds a cool factor to the wheel. You know, I mean, There are plenty of, real racers who don't use backlit buttons in their cars, but I'm not a real racer. I'm a sim racer in the middle of market. So, it's just great. I can reach everything. Like I said, I can make changes to my black box. I can make adjustments to the black box here. Change my brake bias. Make changes to the traction control. And because there's really good detents there, I can feel every bit of it. Like, there's nothing I can't feel. Like, I'm like not looking at the road, looking at my dash right there. You can probably see as I change it what's happening there at the top of the screen here. Oh, that's the back corner. But all in all, if you're looking for, like, here's my thing. If you're looking for something like, if you don't need thumb encoders, that's the big thing. I do think at $650 I would like to have them, but for me they're not a deal breaker. I had the F Pro from Cube Controls, and those grips were the worst grips I've ever used in my life. Outside of that, I love the wheel, but that is $300 more. And I get everything on that F Pro I would need on here. Plenty of buttons, more than enough to do what I need to do. And the grips are significantly better. I love the wheel size of 290. Kind of my secret favorite. But other than that, like, I really don't have anything to say against it other than it just be cool to have thumb encoders somewhere on here. When you look at some wheels that are not nearly as good as this, like the Moza GS, I think that wheel is a nice wheel for the price. And I'll tell anybody, it's a pretty decent wheel. This is better. The grips alone on this make it better. Make it better than the GS, better than any wheel at this price point, hands down. I just wish there was some thumb encoders, so that if I do become that kind of racer who, over time, makes those adjustments, that I do have that ability to adjust on the fly without taking my hands off the wheel. I know for people who race in VR that, is likely a bigger thing just because, they can't look at the wheel. Now, granted, with any wheel, once you've used it for a bit, you're kind of memorizing where buttons are located. So, at the end of the day, is it that big of a problem? No, not really. But for some, it's a big deal. I know when I watched Will's review of the Formula Pro Elite, his thing was he wished they had thumb encoders. Now, I would say at that price point, absolutely, that should. But that was their first wheel, and I think that was a hit. Now, I've never owned one, but I've used it a ton every time I go to Micro Center because they have it hooked up right there. So, I mean, that's a pretty sweet deal. If they had these right in store, I likely would have went and picked it up while I was there as well. But to be honest, I ordered it on, again, July 28th, and I got it, on the 3rd. And I got express delivery, so definitely worth the cost. Because when I saw the email yesterday, I was so excited. But yeah, I mean, I don't know much more I can say about the wheel, except it feels great. It's worth its weight in gold. We'll go ahead and take a quick look at it and tell you my final impressions of what I think. But I'll be honest, my final impressions are going to be very easy because I like the wheel, and you're hearing it from me now. I will show you what it looks like next to the Vulcan Rev 3 wheel. Again, I think Vulcan did a great job at that price point, and if you're looking for an entry-level wheel that is much cheaper, that's a great option, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But I'm going to run a few more laps before I finish out the review. And this way, again, if you guys have questions, concerns, issues, or complaints, take them up with somebody who cares. No, I'm just joking. Let me know as always. So let's go ahead and take a final look at the wheel and see what I think. So as you saw, I love the wheel. I mean, I can tell you for 650 bucks, it's kind of a steal at this price point with what you get, especially when you look at some of the other wheels that are on the market, and you look at wheels like VRS's new wheel that they came out with. I can tell you, even if you get all the specs for this, it still comes in cheaper, and it seems like you get a little bit more features with it. So yeah, I'm not sure what VRS, I mean, and it's probably a great wheel from everything I've read. But at the end of the day, you know, it's all about value and what you're willing to spend. And to be honest, if I had the money, I'd probably buy the VRS wheel too. I mean, just because I love having them and they're really cool to accessorize like shoes. But what you're seeing over here is I have the Balkan wheel and I have the GSI wheel, and you see they're very similar in their style. The reason why I have it here, and after racing, and I've been using the Balkan wheel with the LMP3 for quite some time and started with the LMP2, and I have the GSI wheel here. Now, this isn't to compare the two because they're in two different price ranges and they're at two different points. And again, I have the basic Rev 3 with the 3D printed shifters and the 3D printed back with the 5mm carbon front. What I'm here to tell you is, although I'm not going to compare the two, if you're looking for an entry-level wheel that's a really good wheel, that's a really good wheel. Balkan did a great job. For, you know, under $400, you get a really good wheel for the money. Not saying it's as good as the GSI X-29. They're both great, depending on what you want and depending on your bracket. I mean, I know a lot of people are getting the new Moza KS wheel. That's a completely plastic wheel, but again, all depends on what your budget is and what you're going to spend. I bring that up because everything with sim racing, I want to say this in this video and any future videos, it all comes down to what your value point is. If you have $650 to spend and you want to get the best bang for your buck, GSI, absolutely amazing. I would recommend this to anybody and everybody. It's easy to use, easy to set up, has the LED buttons, great quality. Like the way they're doing things over there at GSI, I mean, I'm excited for the day I'm able to get the Hyper P1. That is a wheel I absolutely want. And with the way this is looking, I might get the GT Max 2 at some point. There's so many great products and so many great companies. But when you're on a budget, that's where this comes in. And I would tell anybody, if you got 300 bucks, 350 bucks you want to spend and you want a good quality wheel, don't be scared of the 3D printed anything because it is really good. Like they both are fun to drive. And I would recommend them to anybody. So I'm not saying bringing this down as much as this is great. I would tell you buy this. But if you didn't and you couldn't afford this, get this. Now, if you have a Moza system and you want the KS wheel, I've never tried it. Absolutely have at it. But this is really cool. Like, great freaking job with this, Balkan. So I have to give them a kudos for that. Because again, I don't compare the two. I see them as two different brackets. But I will say, for the money, that's a really nice thing to use. And I really enjoy it. And mounting the QR to it is easier because the screws go through the front. But again, this is a prettier, well-designed, more expensive wheel. And I would say, again, mine is actually, which I want to make sure I point this out, mine is signed. I didn't know that if you ask them to have Mr. Gomez himself sign it, it will be signed. That is absolutely awesome. I want all my wheels to be signed because to me, these are pieces of art. They're beautiful wheels, and I want every single one of them to be signed, especially a GSI wheel. So every GSI wheel I will get moving forward, Mr. Gomez, when I get my next one, I will be getting this one signed as well. Every one of them I want signed because to me, you know, Yeah, I just, it's just great. I mean, it's a piece of art, and when I hang it on my mount and eventually I have my own area to put my wheels and I'm gonna put them on the wall or something, come up with something cool. I'm really excited about having both of them on my wall. My only gripe with this wheel um, is after using the Bavarian Simtec wheel and their QR mounting system, every wheel should come with a QR mount. A separate triangular disc that literally, if you watch my Bavarian Simtec Omega 1 Red Devil review, you'll see. You literally take the QR mount it to the mount, and then mount it to the wheel. Nothing ever gets in the way. You can mount any QR to it and mount it on your wheel and never have to take things apart, put screws through it, put screws in. It's just mount this to this, mount this to that. It's a very simple, intuitive, and ingenious way of mounting QRs to your wheels. The other thing I would say I would love to see on the wheels, like what you're going to get on the Hyper P1, it just at least 2 thumb rotaries. I mean, but again, at $650 for the quality that you get, I don't use them as much as one would think. I'm not changing my ABS and traction control on the fly. I'm not using this for formula racing at the moment. But at the end of the day, like, I have no gripes. I mean, for the price point, it's amazing. It's nothing short of stellar. And I would recommend it to anybody and everybody who's looking to buy a wheel. Yeah, $650, worth it. Get the optional clutches, which I went on a website. I'm not sure you can add them right now and just buy them separate. And maybe that's an option you can do in the future, because when I took apart the wheel itself, it literally just plugs in and you screw it to the back. So I would presume that at some point in the future, you may be able to add it later as an add-on accessory. It may not be something they're offering right now because it is a new wheel. I mean, they were launching this summer, which they did. And I got mine in 7 days or less. So yeah, if you have $650, get it. If you have $1,000, get it, save some money, get some more stuff for your rig. If you have Hyper P1 money, get that too. Or check out some other wheels that I've reviewed, especially the ones that get a gold star. Moving forward, this is just a great wheel. And I have nothing more to say. So check me on the next one. Have more stuff coming at you. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and please give it a thumbs up, turn notifications on, and subscribe. I promise I have more for you. I have more coming. And check out my Twitch. I'm now streaming on Twitch. Just some racing stuff. I don't know much about it, but I'm learning each and every day that I get on it, and I hope that you enjoy it just as much as I do. As always, enjoy the channel, enjoy the wonderful content, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.